Gator Dave, how we doing, sir?
We're good, Mike. We are good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Hard to believe we're halfway through the year already. Week 6 is here. It
Damn, week
is
6.
sad
Yep,
stuff. Sad stuff.
week 6 is here, no doubt, no doubt. Well, let's give the intro. So we got week 6, regular season. We're now Bets Utopia. I think everybody's getting that now. Number one location for all things sports betting. Don't forget to watch the NFL show after our show tonight. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow on YouTube. Live shows on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Tonight at 8:15. That's all good because we're still rocking here. So let's get rolling. Hey, Gator Dave, 8-3. The last 2 weeks, Mike, you put them together. Gator Dave's 68%. He is 15-7 in the last 2 weeks. He's catching Miami, Mike. He's only 2 away. He's only 2 away from time and working toward that badge, so we don't have any badge next week, maybe. So
Yeah,
and the
you
other,
did have a good week. I'll give you that.
that
Let me
was
throw up
good.
the recap while you're talking about it.
All right, let's do it. Hey, the great news, Mike. My Gators didn't lose last week, dude. They didn't lose, but
There
they
you
didn't
go. They
play.
didn't play.
They
Oh
didn't
man.
play, Mike.
Oh
They
man.
didn't play. So what do the numbers look like there, Mike?
Why are you talking about it? All right, so we went. I mean, you said it. You went 8-3. We had that push with Liberty because there was
That's
a
a
canceled
bummer.
game with App State, so we'll have that on there. That's our little asterisk game. But yeah, you got me. You're right. You got 2 games up on me last week, so you're getting closer and closer. We'll see if this is the week that you can pull back in
Um,
it.
yeah, and you only know what we've got what's coming up because I have not a clue. Gator Day feels decent about this week. Decent. Not as good as I did last week. Last week I was feeling it. This week I feel good, not great. So let's roll into the games, Mike. Let's start with our armed forces. We're going to start with Army at T-Town, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Army getting 12 and a half points, Mike. Woo! Over under is 50 and a half. Army comes in 4-0, Mike. Tulsa comes in 2-3. Army's got wins over Temple, Rice, as well as FAU. And they're only giving up 14 points. No more than 14 points a game. Tulsa's lost. They lost to North Texas by 32, Mike. That kind of swayed me, kind of helped me make my decision here.
Right.
They lost to Oklahoma State by 35, and they lost to Arkansas State by 4. So Army's 4-0 against the spread. Tulsa 2-3. Army's quarterback is the leading rusher, 6 yards per carry. Their regular running back, 14 yards per carry. The Army defense, 6th in the land, baby. Tulsa comes in, their quarterback Francis only throwing, and they got regular offense. 58%, 980 yards, 6 TDs, and 4 interceptions. They do have 2 running backs that have rushed over 200 yards. The Tulsa defense, Mike, 118. Not good. Last weekend, they gave up 618 yards, of which 439 of that was passing to North Texas. Army hung 489 yards on Temple in the last down with 417 coming on the ground. We know it's the ground game with Army. Mike, what if Army's undefeated at the end of the year? They might be the group of 5 team. Crazy, right? Give me
They might
Army to
be.
easily cover. Give me Army covering this thing, Mike. Give me Army. Tulsa's no good.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I have a hard time seeing any other side in this one. You mentioned Tulsa. They used 4 quarterbacks last week, Dave, for the second time this year. They've had a couple blowout losses, so they've been swapping out some QBs. Second time they used 4 quarterbacks in a game. That is typically not a good sign. Offense has struggled pretty heavily. Defense seems to gas out after the first quarter. It seems like the first quarter they kind of give these teams give them a good game, keep it close, and then after that they kind of fizzle. This Army team is going to wear them down with that option. That's not a good sign for this Tulsa defense. Army already has more away wins this year for the first time since 2022. They haven't had 2 or more away wins since 2022. They haven't had a season where they win 3 away games. I think they do it in the last 10 years. I think they do it this year, and they do it with this game. Give me Army to get the cover here, Dave. I'm with you.
Awesome. All right. Navy Air Force. What you got, Mike?
Keeping it with the academy teams here. So this one I was kind of torn on. It could have been 2 plays here for me. Okay. So a couple numbers. I'll keep it short and sweet. When these 2 teams get together, there are not a lot of points. Also, when Army gets involved, Navy, Army, Air Force, any of the military schools, when they match up and play each other, there are not a lot of points scored in these games, okay? To the point where, specifically in this matchup between Navy and Air Force, the under is 9-2-1 since 2012, and the under has gone under each of the last 3 seasons in this matchup. Something that's not so great here for Navy, Dave. Air Force is 6-2 straight up and against the spread against Navy since 2016. Navy has lost the last 4 in a row to Air Force. Air Force has not been a home underdog, which they are in this game, by double digits since 2020. Because of those reasons, I am going to go off of Navy. I was on Navy -10. Give me the cover there. I still think it's got a shot, but I'm going to go with the more safe bet. I'm going to take the under here, Dave. What do you got?
So, interesting, Mike. So, Mike likes that history lesson, guys. Dave, he likes reality. What's happening this year with this team? Navy beat UAB. Navy beat Memphis. Navy beat Temple. And we'll throw Bucknell off to the side. Okay? Air Force lost to Wyoming, Baylor, San Jose State. Their big win, Mike, was against Merrimack Warriors. Navy's 3-1 against the spread this year. Air Force 0-4. Mike, I'm going to say Air Force has failed to cover the spread in each of its last 8 games against non-AP ranked teams. And that gives you some of that history, but it also tells you what's happened this year. Air Force is in a free fall. It is not a good thing what's going on with the Air Force. They've only covered 2 of their last 10 games. Navy midshipmen covering 3 straight games. One of the best offenses in college football. Give me the midshipmen to cover those 10 points, Mike. Boom.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I was on that one for a long time, and I'm
feeling it, baby. I like it.
It kept creeping up too. That line's moved. Yeah. I think it started at 8.5, and it's gone up. So.
Hey, let me throw something in here real quick. I know we're trying to get through it, but think about this. Think about what if we go into the Army-Navy game, Mike, both teams undefeated, fighting for that 12th spot in the playoff. Oh, my God. And that thing comes later. It's like the game after all the games. It'll jack things up. So it should be interesting. All right, next game. Let's go over the ACC, Mike. We got Pittsburgh. -2.5 at North Carolina, over under 64.5. So I got a couple of buddies that came to me at work to watch this show. And by the way, love you, hon. My wife's on here and Ian's on here. Thank you, buddy. So got a couple of buddies that are Pittsburgh fans that came to me and said, Dave, you haven't talked about Pittsburgh. Well, we're talking about Pittsburgh today. 4-0. UNC 3-2. Pitt's big wins over West Virginia and Cincinnati. Don't count them out. Those are decent teams. UNC has only played one Power 5 team, Mike, and that was Duke last week. They lost by 1. They got beat by JMU by 20. Okay? Pitt is 4-0 against the spread. UNC is 0-4-1. Okay. Quarterback Holstein for Pittsburgh, 67%, 1,186 yards, Mike, 12 TDs, 2 interceptions. Their leading rusher at 310 yards. He's averaging 7.3 a carry. Holstein also runs the ball. He's their second leading rusher, 189 yards. Pitt defense ranked 81. Pitt offense ranked 6th. Tar Heels, they've been throwing out quarterbacks left and right. The latest one is Criswell, 58%, 889, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Hampton, their running back, is decent, 658, 5.9 yards per carry, and 6 TDs. The Tar Heel defense, rocking, baby, 93rd in the nation. They're killing it. Tar Heels have lost 5 of their last 6 games against conference opponents and failed to cover the spread in those games. Panthers, big win at Youngstown State. Granted, it's Youngstown State. 644 yards, 295 passing, 10.6 on the ground. Pittsburgh's now scored 28 or more points every single game. UNC on Saturday, they're going to be sloppy. This past Saturday, they had 10 penalties for 84 yards, didn't do well on third downs, and got beat by Colorado. Yeah, wow. Right? Was it Colorado they got beat by? Am I getting that right? Duke, yes, by 1. So, Mike, in a nutshell, give me the Panthers to cover the 2.5 points. Easy money.
Yeah, I'm gonna be with you. I was a little torn on this one at first. This is one that you put on the board this week. For now, I know the reasons why. Shout out to those guys watching. I was torn on it. I'm not gonna lie. North Carolina, I think, has gotten a bit of a bad rap, especially after that 70 burger that James Madison put up on them in Chapel Hill. Last week they were actually up on Duke. I think it was like 20-0. And then Duke just came back, stormed back, and won. That's going to be hard for this team to forget about and rally and put it behind them. I'm going to mention this sort of thing a couple times tonight. Sometimes teams lose a game twice. I think that one could happen here. I think that Duke loss is kind of a real locker room killer in terms of energy. That's one of those things where if these guys aren't mentally right and mentally bought into this team, they could easily kind of bail out mentally and kind of check out on the coaching staff, on the philosophy, what their game plans are. It just doesn't seem like they have that cohesiveness that you think a Tar Heel team would have. So I'm with you. I'm going with the locker room that seems like a tighter fit, that's gotten through close wins this year, that have come back in multiple games. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Panthers and Pat Narduzzi to go down there and get it done. I'm with you, Dave.
Awesome. All right. Well, Mike, let's stay in the ACC on the next game. What you got?
Yep, real quick, shout out to Public House we see in the chat. What's up, buddy? Thanks for watching. But yeah, so we're moving on here. We got Duke at Georgia Tech. This is another one that you threw on there. You're loving the ACC games this week, I tell you.
Feeling it.
Feeling some heart palpitations is what you're feeling. That's what I feel when I'm picking these games. This one's ugly. Georgia Tech -9. We mentioned it. Duke beat North Carolina last week. They came back, won. Super emotional game, rivalry game. Down, come back. They did it, right? Not so fast. They're going to have a coming back to earth moment in this one. It's a night game in Atlanta. It's going to be rocking. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia Tech's doing a whiteout. I don't know if they are, so if they are, points. That spread is just odd. It's high to me.
It is. It's one of those games like we talked about last week. And you remember, Gator Dave won that one last week, baby. That Baylor game.
Yeah, we don't need to talk. Yeah, we can forget about it. We can forget about it. It's similar, but it's not a ranked matchup, so it's a little different. But I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna go Georgia Tech -9 here. I am. I'm gonna trust in it. Haynes King at quarterback, Haynes at running back. I think they're gonna get it going. I think it's gonna be early. I see this one starting out like 21-7. I think Georgia Tech's gonna have a good hold on this one by halftime. And they are not going to do what North Carolina did last week, which is give that game away. So give me the Ramblin' Wreck at home primetime game Saturday night in the A. What do you got, Dave?
Cool. I like it, man. But we got Duke and the fighting Manny Diaz's, baby. We got the Manny
You're
Diaz
right. You
team,
know,
baby.
he didn't
5-0,
even.
baby.
I forgot about
5-0.
that aspect.
What do you do? Is
Make it a
this
make it a lock. Make it a
What
lock,
is this?
Dave. Make it a lock.
What is this? I think I'm gonna have to, man, because it's that game like Baylor last week. It's gonna smoke. All right, so we got the fighting Manny Diaz is coming in. Malik Murphy, Texas transfer, 60% passing. Yeah, okay. 12-26, Mike. I don't think there's many that have more yards than him. 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Okay. The ground game's averaging 120 a contest, which isn't too bad. Thomas, their star running back, 480 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Duke defense is ranked 28th. Okay. So you talked about Haynes King. He's doing quite well. Almost the exact same yardage, except he's completing 74% of his passes. And King is the leading rusher. Mike, I'm really feeling there could be an issue with Haynes King this game. Not trying to hex anyone, but I'm just feeling, okay? Tech's defense ranked 43rd, okay? Georgia Tech is 4-15 against the spread in the last 19 games as a favorite. And Duke is finding ways to make it happen. They've covered their spread in each of the last 7 games as an underdog against non-AP ranked teams. Give me the Duke Blue Devils and them points, and we're calling it a Gator Day lock.
All right. We'll see. We got a nice head-to-head there. True head-to-head.
We do.
Happens.
All right, let's
moving
roll.
on. Again, you're staying in the ACC. You're staying in the ACC.
But this one came from you, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. So, I don't know. We'll see about this one. So, Boston College at Virginia. Virginia getting 1 dang point. Over/unders 54. BC comes in 4-1. UVA 3-1. BC's loss was against Mizzou by 6. And Virginia wins over Wake by 1. Coastal Carolina by 19, but they lost to Maryland. And Maryland, to me, is that really middle of the road, kind of where these guys are. The great news here, Mike, is Castellanos is back. He is back and ready. BC's 3-2 against the spread. Virginia's 2-2. Castellanos, granted, 65%, 729, 10 TDs. He's run for 112 yards. He is so cool. Virginia quarterback Colin Drea, we've seen him for a while too. 68%, 1032, not bad. They got 2 running backs over 200 yards each. We look at the defenses, Mike. BC is ranked 45th, Virginia 94th. Okay. In the last 3 home games, Virginia's averaged 32 points per game while allowing 28. BC slightly, I just think they're a little more well-rounded, on both sides of the ball. With Castellanos back, last week we had that freaking scare, and now they got Castellanos back. I think they're going to be fired up, and I think it's going to be too much for Virginia. So I'm going to take Boston College, give me that 1 point, and go from there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the game last week that they were without Castellanos. They were down at halftime against Western Kentucky, 17-7. So bit of a comeback job. Actually, going into the fourth quarter, they were down 20-7, and it scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Ended up winning that one, 21-20. They find a way to win. Boston College finds a way to win. And they're getting Thomas Castellanos back. That is a massive, massive, massive thing for that offense. He is their leader. He's their guy. He's been there for what feels like forever. Virginia is coming off a bye week, though. So a little more time to prepare, right, Dave? They're going to – you talked about that defense. They're going to be able to prepare for them. No, not really. Virginia in this series against Boston College, 1-8 straight up all time. The fact that this is a 1-point spread,
Yeah.
that straight up applies. Something else to consider: Boston College
Boston.
last year, in their last 5 ACC road games as an underdog. Technically, they're getting +1 right now, so it applies. They've pulled out 3 outright upsets out of their last 5. Virginia has also lost their last 3 ACC home openers. That is this game. Give me the Boston College Eagles to get it done. I think I'm with you here, Dave. I think they right the ship, get back on the winning track.
Agree. All right, shout out real quick to Evelyn coming in again as one of our regulars, as well as Scott Crawford, whoever that might be. I don't know anything to do with steel something. I don't know. All right, Mike, we're going up to the Big Ten. What do you got here for us?
Yeah, we got Indiana taking on Northwestern. Indiana is good this year, okay? Head coach Kurt Cignetti is that guy. He said in his presser when he got hired, they asked him, what makes you think that you're going to be a good coach for Indiana? He goes, I go places and I win. That's all he does. All he does is win. And sure enough, all they're doing is winning. Now they're running into this Northwestern team who not really winning. They're kind of puttering a little bit on offense, puttering a little bit on defense, whereas on the opposite side, you got Indiana who's actually clicking on both. Give me Indiana to cover here. I think this one's easy. It worries me a little that over-under line is at 41. That's a little low for a double-digit spread in a college game. So that is something to watch. I'd be curious to look at the weather and see if there's anything going on there. With it being in Illinois, there might be some wind, some rain to justify why that total is what it is. So I'd be curious to check that out. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I like Indiana here to get it done. Shout out to Evelyn, an Indiana native. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, she's definitely on the right track here because I'm feeling it for Indiana and Kurt. Right now, he's probably, if you were to vote right now, I think he'd be coach of the year just because of the way this team's played. 5-0. Northwestern only comes in at 2-2. Indiana's beat Maryland, UCLA, which is 2 respectable schools. The quarterback for Indiana, Rourke, 73%, 1372. That's about the highest I think we're going to talk about today. They've got 4 running backs, Mike, averaging over 5 yards a carry. Okay. Their defense ranked 8th. Offense ranked 9th in the land out of 133 teams. Okay. And lowly Northwestern's quarterback, Lausch, is a slouch. 48%, 280 to 2-2. Their defense, however, ranked 31st. So that's probably why that number's so low. The Hoosiers look pretty darn good. They were solid against Maryland, 510 yards against Maryland, 6.8 yards per play, 28 first downs. Just killed it. Northwestern's just not cutting the mustard right now. They can't do much of anything. I don't see any signs of Indiana letting up. I think they're just going to pound and win this thing by probably 3 touchdowns. So give me Indiana covering this one, Mike.
All right, I like it. On the same page
All right.
there. All right, moving back to the ACC here, Dave. What do you got?
Back to the ACC. We got. Is he still here? Ian, you there, buddy? I know, man. All right, so we got Clemson getting 14.5 at Florida State. I got no room to talk, though, Ian. Clemson getting 14.5 at Florida State.
I'm sure he'll let you know that.
47. He will. He doesn't ever hold back. Clemson 3-1, Seminoles 1-4. Clemson's on a roll since they beat the Dogs. They beat Stanford. They beat NC State, both by over 25 points. FSU got popped around a little bit by SMU last week, and their only win right now is against Cal. Clemson's 4-0 against the spread, which I think is huge. Seminoles are 1-4. Klubnik is turned things around. 66%. Granted, he's not at 1,000 yards, but he's got 954 and 12 touchdowns. Phil Moffa's got 8 yards per carry and 3 TDs. What's kind of odd, Mike, when I was doing my research, the Clemson defense, Mike, is ranked 82nd in the country. And I had to go back and double check. But they're ranked 82nd, which isn't too hot, which is probably good for you and your Canes, right, when we get to that ACC championship game. All right, DJU, 53%. He has thrown for over 1,000 yards, 4 TDs, and 6 interceptions. Not good, but we're starting Brock Glenn, the man that made it happen against the Georgia Bulldogs. So they should be okay here. The favorite in this game's covered the spread 7 of Clemson's last 8 games. Florida State's failed to cover the spread in 5 of its last 6 games. I could go on and on. Mike, give me Clemson and the 14.5. I'll leave it at that, sir. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm just going to apologize in advance to our Florida State watchers. It's not good. It's not good this week. It hasn't been good in the last couple of weeks. It's not going to be good moving forward. Clemson's looking for some revenge in this game, not only against DJU, as you mentioned, he's unfortunately not playing, but just against Florida State in general. They lost by 7 to this team last year in Florida State's pursuit to the potential playoff that they got left out of after going 13-0. So this is one that Clemson's going to want back for sure. Dabo is not going to hold back on this team. If they can score, they are going to. So it could get ugly quick. I'm not worried about this 14.5. I think they're going to cover it easily. You look at this Clemson team, they lost that week 1 game against Georgia pretty badly in the second half. In the first half, they were right there with Georgia. Defense was playing, offense was struggling, but the defense was holding their own against Georgia. So you mentioned that defense and kind of struggling. These last 3 games since Georgia are the ones that are telling to me. All right? Average margin of victory. They've won all 3 games. Average margin of victory, 32 points per game. They're not just winning, they are dominating right now. Now they're facing an FSU team, you mentioned it, coming off of their 3rd ACC loss already. 3rd in 4 games played. They're 1-3 in the ACC already, likely already out of that. And unfortunately, they're playing again Dabo, who will not hesitate to put his foot on their throats if given the opportunity. I think, unfortunately, Florida State's going to be 1-5 going into next week, and I think their season is virtually over after this game. It'll be interesting to see what they do about Norvell moving forward. I hope he stays there forever,
lot of money, man.
personally.
$60 million. It's a lot of money there. A lot of money.
I hope he sits nice and tight, and they
for about 5
make
years.
him nice and comfortable down there.
Yeah, baby.
Give me Clemson. All right, moving on. We got 5 games left here, Dave. So this is a shot. This is a shot here for Ian to get his licks back. Our Florida State fans in the chat to get their licks back on you. We got UCF making the trip to old Gainesville. This one's kind of ugly. I'm not gonna lie. You threw it on there. I had a feeling you were gonna throw it on there.
Had to.
I'm going to go with the Black Knights. I'm going with UCF minus 2.5. I think that they're going to find a way to get it done in Gainesville. I like Gus Malzahn in this offense. KJ Jefferson, I think he's got something to prove against this Florida team. That was actually one of the schools I believe that he was trying to transfer to when he left Arkansas. And Florida maybe said, we're waiting for somebody else. And nobody else really came. So KJ ended up at UCF. I'm sure that that's a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's going to show out. UCF struggled last week. I think they were looking ahead to this game a little bit. And also, UCF beat Florida last year, if I'm not mistaken. So they know how to win. Or was it the year before?
Year before in the bowl.
Year before. So they know how to beat the Gators. They're not intimidated. They're going to go to the swamp. Those Boo Birds are going to be out nice and early for old Billy. This may be the game that finally does it for Billy Napier. So give me UCF to get it done in Gainesville. What do you got, Dave?
I think it's a good call. A couple of things, I got to spend a little time on this one, Mike. So KJ Jefferson
I figured.
played last year for Arkansas. KJ Jefferson in Arkansas came to the Swamp and beat the Gators, and our friend Sunbelt Billy lost. Okay, so that's issue number one there for sure. And what the other thing that I have heard, and I've got some pretty good information here, is that the problem with jettisoning Billy now is that we have no one to be the interim coach. Billy calls the play, so I don't think they're going to fire him till probably like after the Georgia game. So we've got a few more games with our Sun Belt Billy. So here's the deal: UCF big wins over TCU by 1. They beat Sam Houston State by 31. They lost to Colorado, but dude, in that game against Colorado, they had some issues, turnovers, and just they gave them that game. Florida's only beat Samford, Mississippi State, losses it to Miami and Texas A&M. So UCF totaled 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions in that game, 7 penalties for 80 yards against the Buffaloes. Okay. The Knights got to play a little bit better, which I think they will. Here's the kicker, Mike. From the defensive side of things, if we look at our friends from UCF, their defense is ranked 77th. The Gators' defense is ranked 92nd. Neither defense is really that good, obviously. The Knights have struggled. They struggled against Colorado's attack on Saturday. Gators have been torched by just about every offense there is. I think this game is going to end up 28-38. But I don't want to bet against my Gators. So I'm going to go with the over 61.5 here, Mike, because I don't think either defense is going to do well, and I don't have a clue as to what's going to happen. So except for the fact that neither defense is good, and it's going to be up and down the field, because I honestly believe that we can move the ball against that team. They don't have a good defensive backfield, so I think we throw. I think you see more Lagway. And I think we throw the ball. I think we lose. So I think we're both winners here, Mike. I think I'm taking the over. You take UCF, and we'll call that a game.
I just real quick, I think it's funny that you mentioned that you don't want to bet against your team, but you've done it. Is it 3 times already this year?
This week. I don't want to bet against.
Okay,
this
just
week.
this week. All right,
Excuse me.
Got it.
Now, the rest of the year, except for maybe against Florida State, I'll bet against them every. Well, depending on what the spread is, Miguel. We got to watch what the spread is. If it gets high enough.
I got you. Yep.
Their shit show this week. Yeah, I'm betting.
Right, fair enough.
All right. So, next game. Let's go back to the ACC, Mike, and we got this game's going to be good. And this game is the game that Mike put up there that I was like, oh my gosh. It was the last game I picked. We got SMU at Louisville. Louisville getting 7 points, 57.5. It's oh man. SMU 4-1, Louisville 3-1. SMU is 3-2 against the spread. Louisville 3-1. SMU lost to a tough BYU team by 3 points. They beat FSU, TCU, and 2 FCS teams. Louisville lost last week to Notre Dame by only a touchdown, and they beat Tech and 2 FCS schools. So I think we're kind of even right now almost. Jennings is now the quarterback. Remember, we were playing the 2-quarterback BS. Well, last week he played the whole game against Florida State. He threw he's at 63%, 733, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He's also the second leading rusher on the team. Mustang defense ranked 38th. So on the other side of the ball, Tyler Slaught for Ville is 65%, not the greatest, but good. 1,114 yards, 11 TDs, only one interception. They've got two Browns in the backfield. Brown number one, he's averaging 8.4 yards a carry. Number two's at 6.2. And number three, they got a kid named Watson that's at 11 yards per carry. So they're running the damn ball. The Cards defense is ranked 17th. So we got the 38th Mustangs, 17th Louisville. So defensively, you think Louisville's got this one, and they're pretty intense. They are playing at home. The Mustangs, they've put up some points with Jennings under center, but I think it's a little misleading because against TCU and Florida State, those teams outgained SMU on yards. So there's a little bit of an interesting situation there. So I think this one kind of came down to home field for me. And we got 7 points. I think that's safe. I'm going to take Louisville, Mike, in this game.
Okay. So SMU, you mentioned it, their offense is rolling right now. They've put up 108 points total between the games against TCU and FSU since they lost 15-18 against BYU in a Friday night game. Louisville last week fought in a hard contest against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. They were actually down 7-21 at the at the end of the first quarter in that game, and the game ended up at 24-31. So Louisville never gave up. They fought to the end. They actually had a shot at the end to tie it. Notre Dame ended up stopping them. So for me, this is a situation, I mentioned it earlier in the show with a different game that we were talking about. I think this is one that Louisville could lose twice. I think that game last week, they kind of invested everything into it. They fought to the end. That one's going to linger on them. They're going to let that one's one that they definitely let get away from them. They beat them the year prior, so they were going in confident into South Bend and really got punched in the mouth. I just don't really have total faith in this Cardinals team yet. I'm not sure who you're going to get, so I am going to go SMU. I'm going to go with the trending offense here. Give me the points, SMU +7. I think Louisville ultimately will win this game, but I think it's close. I think it's a very close scoring game, maybe 4 or 5 point difference. So give me the spread and SMU here.
I think that's a good call, Mike. I mean, I teeter back and forth on that one, so we'll see how it rolls, man.
All right. So we got 3 left.
Next up, let's go to the Big 12. Your call there, Mike. What you got?
So this one we threw on there late, but once I looked at it, to me, it was kind of a no-brainer. West Virginia and Oklahoma State's defenses are trash. The only issue I have here is let me be upfront. It's going to be quick. I'm on the over 64.5 here. The only thing that I'm really genuinely worried about is Oklahoma State's offense being able to score at all. They have looked like a roller coaster ride. Absolutely atrocious at times. Other times, Ollie Gordon is starting to show light. I don't know. I want to say West Virginia, but the same thing. They haven't shown the consistency that I need to see. So I'm ultimately banking on these two defenses just being absolutely terrible, and give me the over in this one. Dave, what do you got?
Man, we're all over this one, Mike, and that's why I threw that one at you after I really dug in. So I feel the same way. I'm going that way too. I mean, we're looking at West Virginia is
Mountain Mama.
Mountain Mama. So West Virginia 98th defense. They're giving up 28 points a game. Oklahoma's defense 79th, giving up 25 points a game. Okay. Now you were a little concerned about your boy Bowman on that offensive side of the ball.
My
Now
boy.
he has he's throwing at 60%, but he's thrown for 1537. If I'm not mistaken, that's the highest number of yards we talked about. 11 TDs. So I'm feeling that they're going to score some points. Now, Ollie Gordon, the problem is they haven't been able to run the damn ball. It's kind of like Florida's shitty-ass offensive line. So my bet is their offensive line sucks, and they can't run block. So Bowman's having to throw the ball. That's why he's thrown for 1537. Okay?
They've also been behind a lot in games.
Yeah.
They've had to do some
that
comeback.
could be it too. So West Virginia has hit the over in 9 of its last 12 games. Oklahoma's hit the over in 6 of its last 9 games. Here is what's going to seal the fate and have us win this one, Mike. Last year, Mike, you know what the score of the game was last year? 48-34. 48-34, Mike. I believe in my quick math, that's like 82 damn points. So that's a lot of points, Mike. So let's go the over in this game, and Mike and I agree on one. So,
all right, I like it. 2 games left here, Dave. 2 games left.
All right, Big Ten. Let's go. Michigan Wolverines. Do we have our Wolverines aren't on here tonight? That kind of sucks. So we got Michigan going across to the West Coast to see Washington. Washington getting 2.5 points. Washington comes in the game looking for a little revenge, right, Mike? Because we remember the national championship was Michigan beating Washington, although a lot has changed. Michigan only returns 3 starters. Washington's got a new coach and a bunch of new players. Michigan's 4-1. Washington is 3-2. Michigan's lone loss we know is against number 2 Texas. They beat USC. They beat Minnesota. Washington has beaten 2 FCS schools. They beat Northwestern by 19, and they lost to Washington State and Rutgers. So they've averaged 21. Michigan is only 1-4 against the spread, which isn't too hot, Mike. Washington 2-2. The fabulous quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines, Orji, 56%. He's got 133 yards passing, Mike, in like 4 games. 3 touchdowns.
Well, he just got his first start last week, to be fair.
Yeah, I know. He's played a lot. Running back Mullings is 540, 6 yards per carry.
Okay.
Edwards, who's supposed to be the stud, 258. Orji has almost as much rushing yards, 113, as he does passing yards. Their defense is only 43rd, Mike, which kind of surprised me when I was doing my my research here, because usually their defense is a little bit better than that. The Huskies' defense ranks number 10, and their offense is ranked 21st. Okay? Last week, Huskies outgained Rutgers like 521 to 299. They tied the turnover battle at 0. They went 2 for 12 on 3rd down. Rogers threw for 306 yards. Michigan, they've had some quarterback issues. We know that. On the plus side, Wolverines, solid defense, but not as good as it has been in the past. So, out of nowhere, Mike, just gut feel on this one, I'm going to take Michigan and those 2.5 points.
Okay. Even after trashing the quarterback play, huh? Bold.
Yep. Just
Bold.
My gut. I just don't think
right.
Washington's what they should be. But go ahead. You tell me why Washington should win.
No, I'm not going to do that. But you mentioned Orji and, how he only has that amount of yardage. He's thrown the ball 35 times through 5 games. That's why. They've been using him as a running package. They've been trying to do the Tim Tebow, Chris Leak thing, and it's not going the way that they want to. One thing, though, that is a bright spot for Michigan is Donovan Edwards has finally stepped up, and he's starting to make some plays. They got another running back, Mullings, who's absolutely taken off. He's kind of become the starter for them over Edwards. Because of that and because of Washington's struggles on offense, they have a huge lack of consistency and they just can't finish drives. You mentioned the third down conversion rate last week against Rutgers, a game that they lost after outgaining them by all those yardages that you also mentioned. They can't finish drives. They can't put points on the board. They've resulted in a bunch of field goals. Michigan on the flip side, same thing. They cannot score. There's just something about it. They're having issues. Last week is a little bit of a trick when it comes to Michigan in that Minnesota game. It really wasn't that close. Minnesota ended up scoring a lot of their points, if not all, kind of in the fourth quarter during garbage time. But that's still not something that you want to see from a top 10 team. Letting a team like that come back into the game and make it a game, make it close, 3-point game at the end of it. So I'm not sold on either one of these teams, but I am sold on the defense on both of these teams. I'm going to go with the under here. It is a super, super low total for college game. Typically anything below 45 in a college game, that's kind of a taboo. But I'm not scared. I went under 35.5 earlier with the military game, Dave. So we're gonna lean back like Gator Dave here, and we're gonna get real comfy with this one. And it's gonna be Michigan Washington under 41.5. And that's going to be a lock, Dave. I'm locking that one in. All right? I'm locking that one in.
Yeah.
Locking
I like
it in.
it. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, Mike, you wanna hit the last one there? Start us off. We're going to the SEC.
You bring us home. You bring us home.
Want to bring it? All right. So we got
take us back to the promised land, the SEC.
That's right. To the league, baby. To the league. All right. So we've got Missouri at Texas A&M. Texas A&M getting 2.5 points. Over-under is 49. Missouri comes in the game 4-0. A&M 4-1. Mizzou beat Vandy by 3. So Texas A&M beat Arkansas last week by 4 points. And they beat the Gators by 13. Missouri is 2-2 against the spread. And A&M is only Mike 1-3 against the spread. So Brady Cook comes in at 69%, 946 yards, 4-1. Running back Noel 441, 6.4 carry. Missouri's defense is ranked 8th. Keep that in mind. A&M has moved to freshman quarterback Marcel Reed because of Wegman injury. Reed not doing so hot, 55%, 585, 6 touchdowns. Moss, the running back, at 471, 6.2 a carry. The A&M defense is ranked 34th. Matchup against Arkansas last weekend, the Aggies all tied up 14-14 going into fourth quarter. Eventually eked out that win at 21-17. The quarterback, Reed, logged 163 yards and 2 scores. A&M lost 8 of its last 9 games against AP-ranked teams. Okay. Texas A&M has failed to cover the spread in 7 of its last 8 games. Last week, A&M, they 3 takeaways and 5 of 15 allowed on third downs. 10 penalties against the Razorbacks. So this one was a toss-up for me, but I'm going to go Missouri, and I'll take those 2.5 points there. Mike, what you think?
Yeah, you put this one on there too, and this is so when you were mentioning earlier that one game, that Boston College Virginia, you hated it.
Yeah,
that's this one.
You hate
that's
this one
for me. I'm gonna go with the Aggies though. I'm gonna make it a head-to-head with you. I'm gonna take the Aggies at home. For me, it's just Missouri. I think it's fool's gold right now. They could easily be 2-2. You look at the first 2 games they played of the season. They absolutely wiped the floor with both Murray State, 51-0, followed it up with a 38-0 win against Buffalo. And then the 2 games after that, Boston College, they only won by 6. They were losing that whole game, ended up coming back, stealing it from them. Vanderbilt, They won 30-27. Vanderbilt was with them the entire game, going back and forth in that one. And oh yeah, I'm pretty sure both of those games were all at Missouri. They've had 4 home games. They are 4-0. This is their first true road game, and a road game it shall be in Kyle Field in College Station. They get down. They are loud. They cheer the entire game. Very Colt-like down there in College Station. And they will be ready to support their Colt on Saturday afternoon. So I am going to go the Texas A&M Aggies. I think they're going to get it done. I'm not sold on this Missouri team. I think coming off a bye definitely helps Missouri. I think they needed a break to kind of reset. But I think that since then, they've been doing a lot of looking in the mirror. Ooh, top 10 team. We're 4-0. People tell us how good we are. We've come back a couple times to get some mediocre teams. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Also, Texas A&M's rush defense. Or not, I'm sorry, not defense, offense. Absolutely stud in Le'Veon Moss. I think he's going to be able to run on Missouri. Missouri has that issue against dual threat quarterbacks this year. That is exactly what Marcel Reed, you mentioned it, who's in there for Connor Wegman. That is what he is. He is a dual threat guy. I think that helps Mike Elko. Mike Elko is also good in this role against top 25 teams. So I'm with the Aggies here, Dave. I'm with the Aggies. Let me throw up the recap here. That's our 12 games for the week. We're both on Army, minus 12.5 against Tulsa. I'm on the under in the Navy Air Force game. You're on Navy. We're both on Pittsburgh against North Carolina. I got Georgia Tech. You got Duke. We're both on Boston College against Virginia. We're both on Indiana against Northwestern. We're both on Clemson against Florida State. I'm on UCF. You are on the over in the UCF Florida game. I'm on SMU. You're on Louisville. We're both on the over in the Oklahoma State West Virginia game. I'm on the under in Michigan Washington. You like Michigan as the dog in that one. And then I am on Texas A&M, and you like Missouri as the dog in that one. Shout out to Navoski. Thanks for hopping in, dude. I know the Braves game's on, so I appreciate you jumping in and hopping in the chat with us for a little bit. Hope the Bravos can pull one out tonight and make it interesting going into a Game 3 there. Anything you want to sound off with here, Dave, before we sign off for the week? I do want to mention one thing, actually, before you do, and I'm going to let you finish it. Miami. College game day. It's going to Berkeley, California, dude, for the first time. First time. You see what Miami does, the brand? You see what the brand does? We bring game day to Berkeley for the first time ever, all right? The thing that I don't like about that, though.
Are you going to cover?
Oh, I don't know. I hope so, but that's a long trip. It's like 3,000 miles or something. That's a long trip. The thing that I don't like, though, is that it's a night game. So local start time, it's going to be 7:30. Our start time, it's going to be 10:30. So I got the whole day after watching game day to sit there and prepare. Not only that, I'm sure they're going to have Mario Cristobal on for interviews and everything else. It's going to be the crack of ass out there. Let the man prepare for the game. You know what I'm saying? But that'll be good. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, they said it's going to be like dark when they start college game day, and the damn game doesn't start until freaking on the East Coast. It's freaking time to go to bed. You know, I mean, it's a weird one, man. You might, who knows? I don't know about that cover, man. I don't know about the cover.
They got a good running back. They got an okay quarterback. They got a good defense. It's gonna be by
FSU,
a fight.
So we know where that's going.
It's gonna be a fight.
Oh man, it's all good. It's all good. So we do appreciate everybody who's in the chat tonight, and we appreciate everybody following, liking us, all that kind of good stuff. Please continue to do that. And please take a close look at Gator Dave and the 68% in the last 2 weeks. So, we dropped off a little, but now we're rocking, man. We are coming in for the kill. And I told you, Mike, didn't I tell you week 5? Week 5 was lucky 5 for Gator Dave. Week 6, the kill is coming, baby. The kill is coming. Gator Dave will dethrone or at least even up with Mike because we are 6-6. So we have 6 chances, Mike. We have 6 chances. So I will end it on the usual and go Gators.
All right. Make sure to tune in. Everybody that's still watching, please tune in to the NFL show. We will be live coming up next, probably about 20 minutes or so. So definitely tune in for that. Myself and Steel City Scott will be breaking down 12 games in Week 5 of the NFL. Don't want to miss it. Last week we had an okay week. Scott still got the medal, Dave. Scott still got the medal. So that one I got to get it back so I can have the sweep. I know I got to step it up.
Come on, man. Get it back. Get it back now. Get it back now. All right, Mike. Have a good night.
This is the week.
We shall